Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back out here. I'm out here after roughly about 4 or 5 days of really cold weather out here. And we're just going to look around and see what happened with the trees. Now, we got some standing water in certain areas. I'm going to try to walk through this mud without getting it all over my clothes. This is a cherry tree, and you can see it did pretty good. I mean, it didn't even, no burnout branches or anything from the cold. The leaves held up well on it. And let's see, we got the apple trees. They're looking good. I mean, they're looking real good. That one's standing on straight. This one with I call it the crutch on it. And it's looking really good there. You can see it. Ready to, a couple more days of warm weather, and these are going to break out and do their thing. And that's just a set of leaves get ready to pop out. Give you a good look at that. And over here is a blackberry. It's doing good. It's just really long and lanky, but it's healthy. It's got some dieback here. It's got some dieback from the cold. Not much. And then I got some really cold plants. I'm out here today looking at my garden. And you gotta get out there and check things. See this right here? It was cut from this end here, connected to the plant, and then this one here was sent over maybe 4 feet from the plant. I almost didn't see it, and it actually rooted another brand new plant. And these plants at the stores will run you about $7, $8 a piece. Depends on where you go, of course. This one here was another one that it ran over and planted. Dead of winter. It was sitting right on top of the soil, both of them were, and it was rooting in. And if I allowed it to continue, I'll give you a good example, they'll take over that entire area, and you could come back in 5 years and it'll look like the size of a small barn. It'll have the whole area taken over, maybe larger than that actually. But the soil, you can see the soil is very rich, dark. And the plant went in and it found a place to root, and it did. So I'm going to take these and plant these out somewhere else. But blackberries are very good to have on the property, and I make sure that here's an interesting story. I bought this plant originally 4 years ago, 5 years ago, for $2.70. Actually, I overpaid for it. They were throwing it away at Home Depot. And it was over on the rack where they throw it away, and it was set up for trash. And I actually asked for it. I said, well, what is it? She wanted to ring it up. It wasn't in the system. She said, not in the system. Let me go get a manager. The manager came over and said, give me $272 for it, something. And I said, okay. And I should have asked him to give it to me for 50 cents because it was trash. So that's an interesting story on that. And I've had this plant ever since. I've given it to neighbors and everyone. And it grows a really sweet berry. It grows a really great, you can cut it as a bush, keep it at 4 feet, 5 feet. And I kept it there, and the neighbors all have these plants now. But the interesting thing about it's a thornless one, and it's one of the varieties that the big box stores sell. I don't know exactly which variety it is, but I know it's thornless and they're very sweet. This has been the Morning Garden Show on this topic here, saving blackberries and growing them out and keeping them in. And just like magic, they're in flower pots, and all I'm going to do is cut away where the plant was connected. Right here and here. I'm going to do it right here. That's another part of the plant there. These are a little dull. And we have 2 plants. And I'll decide later where I want them to go. I'll water them tonight and make sure that they're all set. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's how you do it, folks. Don't keep running out buying stuff if you can grow it yourself. And right now in the ground I have a number of blackberry plants, and they're very healthy for you. So like I said before, you gotta keep an eye on them, make sure they don't do that number where it'll send it, like this one here. This is a blackberry here. It sends a shoot out, and it goes down and it touches the ground. And if it sits there long enough, and if it's on soil, it will root and create another plant. And they'll keep walking like that throughout the yard and different areas until it takes over the entire area. Now they can shoot one of these canes out. I've seen them shot out over 16 feet away from the original plant, and they will produce another plant there at the end of it. And these are what the canes look like, and they will shoot them out, and right here will be where the mother plant is, and you got another blackberry plants shooting everywhere. Hello, how you doing? This is the Morning Gardener, and I just want to point out a couple of things. I know a lot of you out there are waiting for the spring to sprung, so to speak, and you're waiting on to have that perfect garden this year. Well, I just want to point out a couple of things. The stores I went to yesterday are primed, and they're waiting for you to come in there, and they're waiting for you to make all types of mistakes, and those mistakes being buying things you don't need, buying things you're not sure of, buying things that work, some things that do and don't. They're waiting for you to make every mistake on the book, and the prices are marked up. And I noticed that when we were looking through the store. Fertilizer is going to be number one. I think one of the number one items is people are going to make a lot of mistakes, and they're going to buy it. They're going to wish for this magical garden. They're going to wish for things to grow perfect, like they do, like they see in the magazines and like they see in the little flyers. Well, that's not possible, in my opinion, if you don't know what you're doing. I use fertilizer, but I make a lot of my own fertilizer. That's what I do. I make a lot of my own fertilizer. I've learned that I like to use a complex fertilizer. A lot of fertilizers in the store, whether it be organic or inorganic fertilizer, it's like NPK, and there's just like 3 basic elements there. My fertilizer that I use is more complex than that because I use plants, whether it be weeds or whether it be all types of vegetation. I use grass clippings, all kind of weeds. Now, some of the weeds that I use, and they specify in some videos, they say use this certain type of weed because comfrey is a very popular one. They said that, it has a deep tap root. Well, a lot of weeds have deep tap roots, but it's one of the ones we know of that has a very deep tap root. Some people say 7 feet deep, some people say 12, whatever. My point is, use different weeds. Put them in, I put mine in a 32-gallon container. You might not need to make as much. You might not need to make more, depending on what you're doing with it. Mine is a 32-gallon container. I put the weeds in there, rainwater's in there. I let it sit for 3 weeks to 30 days, and then I start using it. I break it down to 1 part to 10 parts, or 1 part to 9 parts of the liquid water, 9 parts water, 1 part of the actual liquid. And if I'm using for seedlings, I use 1 part to 15 parts water. If I'm using, so I need to, just thin it out even more. But here's the interesting thing about it. I said to myself before I made this video, I would challenge anyone to grow a tomato and grow a grape or whatever, a piece of squash, and taste mine and taste theirs. And I have more flavor because my plants are getting more nutrients, as opposed to what is sold in the store. And in the store, they have basically 3, like I said, 3 nutrients in them, and the nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, where the weeds are like anywhere from 90 to higher, especially if the soil is real good that they grow in, and that the soil hasn't been tampered with by all types of chemicals. I really like using the weeds. The weeds just grow, and it grows a pretty green plant. The leaves are beautiful. The fruit tastes, it doesn't have a metallic taste to them that some of the the inorganic fertilizer give a tomato, for instance. It has a really sweet taste to it because it's growing absolutely natural, and that's the way nature intended for it. The only problem plants basically have is human beings that go in and they do the wrong things, and then you give a plant enough to grow, but it doesn't really have what it needs. It'll enough to grow. It's like the basic elements, which is the three nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. It'll grow using that. But to give it exactly what it needs, the plant will be superior to the ones that's grown with just the basics. This is the Morning Gardener. I want to thank you for tuning in, and it's been fun. I mean, oh yeah, and I want to thank everybody for getting me to cross over the 7,000 views so far that I've had. I want to thank each and every one of you for that, and the subscribers are going up. I appreciate that very much. And I found out that people just want the absolute truth. They don't need to be told this is the only way it can be done, and they don't need to be told that somebody get on there and start talking like they know every single thing about gardening. It really, that irks the hell out of me when I see people do that. That really burns me. But to get on there and say, I know a lot about this particular plant, but I don't know everything, and I'm just like you, I'm learning, then I would have more faith in what they're saying. This is the Morning Garden, thanking you all for tuning in.